In this video, we're going to look at how to write a formal letter. You might also know it by its other name, business letter. This is a skill you need for your exams, as well as something you'll need in different areas throughout your life. The most obvious example is when you apply for a job. You'll need to write a formal covering letter to go with your job application. Whether you're asked to write your letter on paper and send it by post, or whether you send it electronically, you need your letter to look professional and to follow certain rules. So let's look at what you need to include. Firstly, you should write 2 addresses at the top of the page. The first address, which goes on the right-hand side, is your address. Under this address, drop down a line and write the day's date. Next, on the left side of the page, drop down another line and write the address of the place you are sending it to. Now, you need to start the content of the letter. If you know the person's name you are writing to, then write Dear Mr. Jones or Dear Mrs. Jones. If you don't know the person's name, then start with Dear Sir or Madam. Now, drop down 2 lines and begin your letter by telling the person why you're writing to them. Always start with I am writing to. You would follow this with a word like apply, enquire, request, and so on. For example, I am writing to apply for the job as trainee teaching assistant, which I saw advertised on your website. Notice how we used the full form I am and not the contraction I'm. This is because a formal letter must have formal language, so write the words in full, no contractions or abbreviations. You also need to include information about yourself. As well as describing your skills and experiences, make sure you go into detail. It's not enough to say you've worked in a shop on Saturdays. You should give details of what you did as part of your job. For example, working on the till, handling money, greeting customers, dealing with complaints, and so on. Finally, you need to finish your letter formally. If you started with the person's name, such as Dear Mrs. Jones, then you need to finish with Yours sincerely. If you used Dear Sir or Madam, then finish with Yours faithfully. And the last step, drop down a few lines and write your name clearly. Thanks for watching, and we hope you've picked up some useful information about how to write a formal letter.